Hello and welcome back to my channel. My sway bar broke on my 2008 Impala and I'm going to show you how I fixed it. I fixed it on the ground using only hand tools and a floor jack, a couple of jack stands. So here I'm using 13mm wrench and a socket to remove this sway bar link, and it ends up breaking. So I'm just going to pry out the bushings here, and actually comes out much easier that way. So here are the engine cradle bolts that need to come out, one on each side. And the engine cradle needs to be supported on this cross member right here with a jack. And while I'm under the driver's side here, I'm going to use a 21mm socket to break loose this engine cradle bolt. And I'll move on to the other side. Now this is the side that broke. If you've got a cutting torch, that comes in quite handy. Right here, since I've only got hand tools at my disposal, I'm just going to crank on it for a little while until I get it off of there. All right, you get that out of the way. Now at this point, I've got the floor jack supporting the engine cradle, or just underneath it anyway. I'm going to break this side loose. And I'll go ahead and take it out all the way. Now I'll move back to the other side and finish removing that engine cradle bolt. Now I'm going to drop this engine cradle very slowly. I sped it up a little bit so it looked like it came down faster. You need to be very careful dropping that engine cradle down. You want to lower it slowly and not too far. You risk damaging wiring, exhaust, who knows what else. So here I'm using the 13mm socket to remove the sway bar brackets. And for the other side. These came loose pretty easily. Then after the brackets are loose, you can kind of finagle the sway bar out. It came out pretty easily. So here's the broken sway bar. And compared to the new one is a solid steel bar, whereas the OEM is hollow. It's much heavier too. The new one is being solid steel. And here you can see the difference between the OEM and the aftermarket sway bars. So getting the new sway bar in was a little more of a challenge than pulling the old one out. You got to get it twisted just right, and it'll fit in there. And there it goes. So I'm using brake grease on the bushings for the sway bar brackets. I'm going to start these bolts. The new bolts are 15 millimeter, by the way. So I'm just going to start them so I can still move it around and get the sway bar links in each end properly before I start cranking things down. Now I'm going to install the sway bar links, and they come pre-assembled with all the bushings and everything in the order that they need to be installed. And this isn't a very good angle. Can't really see what's going on back there. But you get the idea. You'll see it better on the other side. for the driver's side. I don't know if there is a actual torque spec on the Swaybar links. It's kind of hard to torque something down when there's rubber between the steels, so I'm going to tighten these down to where the bushings are compressed and are about the same diameter as the steel washer. And now I'm going to tighten down the sway bar brackets. The torque spec on these is 31 foot-pounds. But I'm comfortable with just tightening them down and leaning into the ratchet a bit to get them good and tight. So 31 foot-pounds isn't really a whole lot anyway. And I'm just going to tighten up these sway bar links a little bit more and call it good. And there is the new sway bar installed. I've got to raise the engine cradle back up, put the bolts back in, and torque them down. I believe the torque spec on these engine cradle bolts was 118 foot-pounds. I will include all of the torque specs in the description below. I will leave links below for all the parts and tools and everything used in this video. And that's the end of it. Thanks for watching.